We come to this place for magic. We listen to the Brown Boy Wonders podcast to laugh, to cry, to care. Because we need that. All of us. That indescribable feeling we get when we click the play button and we go somewhere we've never been before. Not just entertained, but somehow reborn together. Having dazzling guests on this great audio platform. Sound that I can feel. Somehow, heartbreak feels good in a place like this. Our heroes feel like the best parts of us, and stories feel perfect and powerful. Because here they are. Brown Boy Wonders podcast. We make podcasting better.
Welcome to the spooky edition of the Brown Boy Wonders podcast. In this month of October of spookiness, my guests and I are rewatching all the Saw movies. And right now, we're going to talk about Saw 5. My guest here is, he's been there since Saw 1, 2, 3, and 4. Here's Skyler. Skyler, man, how you doing?
I am great. I am great, Abrar.
How are you feeling now? We're on Saw 5. Do you want to play a
Man,
game?
I want to play a game, but I'm starting to get a little tired.
Yeah, we're at that point where, like, past 4 films, they're good, but now we're getting fatigued.
Yeah, we've had our ups and some downs, but we've come too far to turn back now.
Yeah, gotta keep going.
Yeah.
Pretty much like, 4 more movies left? Or 5 more movies?
Well, if you count Saw 10, then and this one we're doing now, it's 6. 6 more movies.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, we gotta do it, man. It's spooky season.
Yeah, it's spooky.
Yeah. I do have a little question for you, or a little
All right,
trivia.
hit me.
Alright. Well, I have, okay, I'll hit you. I'll hit you, okay? How long did Saw 5 take to film?
Oh God. So this was a year after the last one, right? That it
Yeah.
came out. I probably to film, um, 3 months?
Wow. That's, I mean, you assume for, like, a movie, it'll take about, like, 6 or 8 months, right? 3 months? But this took
Yeah.
only 1 month.
Oh, 1 month, huh? Well, I guess most of the stuff they're doing are in like, the same location, so
True.
yeah,
But
some movies don't take that long to film. With I'm gonna show a little bit of expertise, as we've talked about on a previous episode. I was in a couple movies as a background actor, and the one I'll cite is the baseball comedy The Benchwarmers.
nice.
And I want to say, like, the main principal photography for that was only like about 3 months, and then the rest
Okay.
was all like post production or just like specific stuff at certain like private locations or whatever. But as far as like all the filming through, like, because that movie had a lot of like location shoots at like different baseball fields throughout
Yeah.
Southern California, like in the kind of Los Angeles area, obviously. Um, all that stuff was done, which is a majority of the movie, in about, I think I was on it for about 2 months, so 2 to 3 months, the whole thing, I think. So obviously, if a movie is small enough, like this one certainly is, a shorter filming time isn't that unheard of.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, 1 month is a little short. But speaking of, you just talked about Benchwarmers. Did you meet, like, the main cast, like David Spade, John Heater?
This has nothing to do with Saw, but yeah, I did.
Okay. That's pretty
Um,
cool.
yeah, I met all the main guys from that movie. Ones that seem like chill dudes, like John Heater's a chill dude, and David Spade was a chill dude. And then other people who may not be chill dudes, like Rob Schneider, right?
Oh yeah,
His name kind of has some stink on it now, doesn't it? In 2023.
yeah. But I did love him in um is it Mr. Not Mr. Daddy, the Daddy movie, Adam Sandler. Um,
The Daddy movie?
yeah, like he adopts one of the Sprouse brothers.
Oh, Big Daddy.
Big Daddy, yeah, the
Yeah,
Big Daddy.
that's a great movie.
Yeah,
That's
I liked him in
probably
that one.
one of uh one of my favorites of Adam Sandler comedies is that one. That's a genuinely good movie.
It is.
Same director, I think, as the Benchwarmers.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Well, Saw 5 did took about 1 month. What do you think about Saw 1? How long did that took?
Sh- that's tricky because that was the cheapest of these movies,
Yeah.
which means they have less time to get everything done in. But also, as far as like filming an actual somewhat budgeted movie, right? It's their first go, and so
Mhm.
maybe more mistakes were made. Um, I'd be surprised if it was much different. Was it like 2 months or was it also a month? It wasn't less, surely.
Oh, you are mistaken. It is
Oh,
only 18 days.
18 days
Yeah.
for the whole Danny
Whole movie.
Glover.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Whoa, whoa. So did they get Carrie Elways in and out of that bathroom in like 2 days or something?
I guess.
That's nuts.
Um,
I had no idea.
yeah, and then Zepp, he took that big shit in the toilet.
Oh, that took at least 4 days.
4 days, yeah. That was literally half of the filming.
Yeah.
But yeah, my next question, it's not really trivia, but it's more of a question. Uh, do you wanna see a live action Billy the Puppet movie, and who would play him?
Alright, I'm a little confused by the question,
Yeah.
because Billy the Puppet is live action, and
Uh,
Billy the Puppet also is not alive.
I
So
mean, okay.
are you saying, like, if Billy the Puppet became like Chucky?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Who would play
Alright, well, I'll
Billy?
answer your first question, which was, "Do
Okay.
I want to see that?"
Yeah.
No, because first of all, that's not what Saw is.
Yeah.
Second of all, I mean, we've got plenty of movies about puppets or dolls that kill people, and it doesn't need to be
I
this.
mean, it doesn't have to be scary, it could be like a rom-com with Billy the Puppet.
Okay, well, if you're putting that on it, then that opens up a whole new world of possibilities. Who could
Yeah,
play him?
yeah.
Um, I don't know. Who do you think?
If he was still little, is that kid from, Room, Jacob Tremblay?
Oh, I disagree. I don't care for him very much.
Why? I think he's grown now, right? He's like,
Yeah, but I feel like the older he gets, the more I don't like him.
"Oh,
He was in I talked about this on a previous episode. He was in the Predator movie.
yeah.
Um, didn't like him in that. He
Oh,
had
wow."
a small part in Doctor Sleep.
Yes, he did.
He was okay in that, but I mean, no. Okay, I'll give him his props and say he was good for the role that he was.
Mhm.
But he's one of those I didn't see a character. I was like, "Oh, there's the kid from Room." You know?
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of I dare say I don't like this small child. What a fucking thing to say.
Uh,
No, he's alright.
yeah, he's good. But yeah, who would play him for you?
Um,
I'm
Jack
trying to think of
Black.
any Jack
Yeah.
Okay, Jack Black has
If you do
so
Jack Black, you can go either way. You can be a romantic comedy where like a
yeah,
someone has
Nacho
to date
Libre.
a little puppet. Yeah, it can be an action comedy or it can be a horror comedy. It's gonna be a comedy no matter what you do, but you can play with the genre a little bit.
Definitely. Okay, Jack
Maybe
Black and Jacob.
maybe the kid that was McLovin,
Oh, what's his face?
Christopher Mintz-Plasse. I don't, however you say his name.
I can see that.
People call him McLovin.
Yeah, he's McLovin.
That's what his legacy is, and that's his own fault.
Well, this episode's about Saw 5. You're about like 10 minutes into this episode. Saw 5. Saw 5 came out in 2008. And we have some new cast members. We got Megan Good as Luba Gibbs. Megan Good, she's a good actress. I'm surprised she was in this film. She was also
Um,
in Shazam.
oh yeah, she was, wasn't she?
Yeah, and like in many other things. I don't know if you saw the movie Intruder with Dennis. What's his name? His son is in The Boys.
Oh, Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid. So she was in Intruder with his film, and that was a dumb movie, but it was fun to watch.
Okay.
Another new cast member is Carlo Rota as Charles, or I kind of want to call him Ricky Gervais. Kind of look like him.
So just for reference, for people listening, picture a man that looks absolutely nothing like Ricky Gervais, and that's this guy.
Okay, maybe he sound like him.
That is insane. You have face blindness. This
Uh...
guy looks nothing like Ricky Gervais. He looks more like Stanley Tucci.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Okay, he has Stanley Tucci's like face, but he has like Ricky Gervais' voice.
No, once again, sounds nothing sounds nothing like Ricky Gervais. Why are you so desperate to connect this man to Ricky Gervais?
When I
He's
see
got
him, it's Ricky.
No. No, you know what? If people listen to this and then watch the movie and they'd be like, well, "Who's the guy that's supposed to be Ricky Gervais?" They'd have no idea that it's him.
All right.
You're an insane person.
That's okay. Uh,
I'll say though that this guy was also in the movie Brick Mansions with Paul Walker. Remember that?
yes, I
Yeah.
remember that, but I did not see that film. I only saw the trailer.
You never saw that film?
No, is it good?
You know what's really crazy?
Yeah.
I've also never seen that film.
Well, I think we have to do a rewatch on that then. Well, not
Yeah,
rewatch.
sure.
Watch first time.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Another new cast member is Greg Burgak as Malik Scott.
I think that's probably pronounced
Oh,
Brick.
is it Brick?
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't matter anymore.
And their last well, it does matter. I mean, they're in the film. We also got Laura Gordon as Ashley, and we got Mark Rolstron as FBI Erickson. He's also in Rush Hour.
Of course. I can't
As
escape that goddamn movie.
you cannot, you have to watch it. Just watch it with me in the future. Come on now, deal.
All right, deal.
All right, deal.
We'll get
So
it done.
we'll get it done.
I can't.
Um,
Can't even resist it anymore.
the budget. What do you think the budget was for this film?
$10 million.
Yeah, you're close. 10.8 million. And the box office. What do you think? What it was?
Man, I never remember how much. Last one was a dip.
It was a big dip.
Last one got less. Last one was like 120 million.
Last one was 139, but the budget
139.
was 10 million.
Yeah, well, that's still quite a bit of money.
This, I'll tell you this: it is another big dip.
Another dip. It goes back. It goes further down.
Yeah. So
Wow.
Saw 4 was 139, as I think I mentioned before.
I guess
So this one is.
I shouldn't be surprised because they are right. They're getting worse
Yeah.
right now. So I guess
Yeah.
that makes sense. Are we at just like 100 million?
Uh, you're you're still around there. It's 118 million.
118.
So it lost like another 20 million.
Mm.
Or not another, but like it lost 20 million.
Not lost, but it made less. Yeah.
Yeah, it made less. Yeah, made less. But yeah, so we're going to that direction. But I
Okay.
think Saw 6, if I did the research, I think it went up, but we'll find out in the next episode. But yeah, your thoughts on Saw 5 over initial thoughts.
Um, well, as we progress through this series, talking about this series, my fatal flaw of how I watch them is becoming laid bare because
Mhm.
I shotgunned them like all back to back in like a week.
Damn.
And now here we are like 2.5 weeks later, and I have to remember Saw 5, which is not the memorable Saw movie.
Yeah.
So I gotta really think. This movie is not great. Um, all right, so Saw 1 was great, and Saw 2 was good, and Saw 3 was all right, and Saw 4 was eh, and I would label Saw 5 not good.
Okay.
There's stuff in it that's probably good. I just have to remember what it is. It's forgettable, really. Um,
Uh, yeah.
walk me through it. Let's go through the story, and then maybe I'll change my tune and be like, "Oh yeah, that part was cool. Oh yeah, that trap was good. Oh yeah, that character was good. None of the characters are good in this one. I'm throwing that out now."
Oh, well, for me,
With the exception
mhm,
of our kind of main two characters being Hoffman and Agent Strom.
yes.
Like
Uh,
their kind of story, like the chase between those two is the interesting part of this movie.
yeah.
And it ends tragically.
Yeah, I agree. So for this one, it's not I think so. A lot of people say it's the worst, one of the worst Saw films, but I think it's okay. There's less traps or like less memorable traps, but I think well, as you mentioned, this chase. I think that's the best part of the whole film.
It's
Uh,
probably the worst Saw film like of the series so far, but if you're looking at like the original set of like all 7, no, this is
yeah,
not the worst one. We know what the worst one is.
yeah, but I feel like for this one, it's like a little breather from like what we've been seeing so far. It's like a little, you know, little like you kind of relax when you're trying to watch this film.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, let's just get into it. So in the last movie, Saw 4, pretty much Hoffman's a new Jigsaw. Uh, when he find out through Mr. Kramer's stomach.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now the first trap for this. Well, the movie starts out with the first trap, and that's the pendulum trap. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
This one is okay. It's fairly straightforward. It's this guy who did he beat his girlfriend?
okay. So he's important to the story
He
at
is.
the end.
I remember how he ties back into the story in like a flashback later. I'm just trying to remember how they say it now. I think he like beat his girlfriend or
I don't think it's Biba. I think he killed.
he did kill her eventually.
Yeah,
Yeah. But the trap is he's strapped to a table, there's like a pendulum lowering above him, and to get out all he has to do is press buttons that crush his hands.
yeah.
Um which he does. And the hand crushing thing is pretty good. um
It's crunchy.
yeah, it's crunchy all right. It does this effect that you see kind of a couple times in this movie of something being squished and then kinda grotesquely pops, like, you see oof, paints a bad picture, but you see, like, the blood shoot from his fingertips a little bit.
Yeah.
That's it's uncomfortable, but it's a good, effect that the hand part. Um, there's
But
not
when it
much.
came to the
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, when it came to the slicing dicing, there were some, as you mentioned before, blood splatter.
Yeah.
So that one's like, it's okay.
Yeah,
Um,
the pendulum, gets to because he crushes both of his hands, but the pendulum doesn't stop.
yeah, it just keeps going.
So
It's,
it
it's
kills
an
him
unwinnable trap.
anyways, and he's shouting something like, "I did it, I did what I was supposed to, ah," and then he dies, but as he's dying, he, like, makes eye contact with someone watching from the other
To the
room.
door.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll find
Uh,
out who that person is.
yeah, I mean, people who watch the other ones probably already know.
There's a lot of dumb people out there. No, I'm not saying that my audience is dumb, but do
Mm.
not. I shouldn't say that at all.
What
I
Abrar
apologize to
what
everyone.
Abrar is saying is, statistically speaking, if you are listening to this, there's a chance you are dumb.
I'll say like
That's what Abrar is saying. I would never say that.
0.1%.
Ooh. He doesn't even have 100% faith in you is what he's saying.
No, all right. Let's go. Let's move on. Uh, to the next thing. So, what's his name? Peter Strahl.
Strom.
Uh, Strom, the Gilmore Girls guy.
Gilmore Girls, yeah.
So the baseball. Okay, I'll call him baseball cap. So
Sure.
baseball cap guy. He got trapped in the place where Jigsaw died and Amanda died. That place because Hoffman closed the door.
Yeah,
He's
the medical room or
medical
whatever.
room. It's like a yeah. So he went. He found a secret door. He went through there, and then I think he got like what he got not recognized, tranquilized,
Yeah,
and then
drugged or whatever.
yeah, whatever. By the big mask person, and I think that was Hoffman as well.
Yeah, it had to be.
Had to be. So you found him in a cube. His head is stuck in a cube, and it's called the water cube. Uh, so this one is also like a non-winnable trap as well. Most of these are not.
Yeah.
Um, Pretty much the water. There's tubes. Water will fill into the cube, and he's gonna suffocate if he doesn't. What was his thing? You remember?
Well, that's the thing about the water cube is it's not a trap, it's not a test. It's just an execution.
Yeah,
I guess immediately watching this, you're like, well, you had him drugged. Why don't you just shoot him? Why don't you just stab him? Why don't you just kill him? Because Strom does get out of this. He cheats his way out of this. But very clearly, Hoffman did not intend that. He's upset that it happened. He wanted Strom to die here. I guess the reason he put him in the cube was to make it look like he died in a trap. But any investigator in this town from the past, 5 movies is gonna know, like, okay, there's no tape, there's no TV, there's no puppet, there's no clues, there's no nothing. This isn't they're gonna know this was an unwinnable thing, and they're gonna be suspicious about that. So I have no idea what his actual plan was killing Strom that way. He could have just shot him in the head, and he did not.
yeah, but he escaped from the water cube. He got a little straw from his pocket, and he poked it.
It was his pen, I think.
Was his pen? Okay, it was his pen, and then he poked his throat to make so he can breathe. And eventually he got out. And when he was in the ambulance, you see Hoffman holding Jeff's child that was in the safe or in the trap room
Yeah.
to show that he's not part of this whole thing.
Yeah, he's taken the credit for saving the child that he probably abducted himself.
Yeah. So that's one thing. And then later on, you'll find out that he was being honored for like some type of police thing because and you can see like the pictures of each cop who died, like
Yeah.
Tap, Singer, uh, Hoffman, not Hoffman, Donnie Wahlberg,
Yeah.
and Carrie,
Mhm.
and
And Rig from the last movie.
Rig, yes, Rig. Shout out to Rig. But yeah, so pretty much Hoffman's being honored. He's like, he's doing all this work. Meanwhile, also you see Strom. Doesn't have a clear voice now because he kind of poked his throat.
Yeah. Him escaping like that was pretty clever.
Yeah,
Bursting the pen into whatever it's called. Well, his throat essentially,
his
and then
throat. Yeah,
creating a separate airway to not drown. Because I don't even think we mentioned that the box, filled up with water to drown him. I mean, it's called the water box. I guess you could have assumed.
yeah,
Um. Yeah. So he was able to not drown that way, and then he kind of for not I don't know the rest of the movie, but for a good chunk of the movie, he speaks raspy. That's pretty cool.
yeah. He got a little Clint Eastwood in him.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Um, I think in later scenes you see him in a hospital or in a hospital room with Hoffman, and they're discussing about Perez.
Oh yeah, his partner from the last film who got a bunch of shrapnel to the face.
Yeah, so it looks like Hoffman. Well, we don't know where if Perez is alive or dead at this point, but we'll find out in the next movie.
Yeah. I
Uh,
mean, the odds are the fact that we don't know is kind of a hint
that's a
to
huge hint.
whether she's alive or dead. Because I feel like if she was one way or the other, we would certainly know. But the fact that it's a mystery is like, well, I wonder why that's a mystery.
Well, we'll find out. But let's get into our four. Oh, it's called the Fatal Five trial. We got our Ricky Gervais. We got Making
Nope.
Good.
Mm.
We got Ashley, and we got Mr. Scott. But yeah, what's your thoughts on this trial?
Um, this is definitely the weak part of this movie is
Yeah,
these 5 characters, their 5 or their trials they have to go through. It's just not interesting. I'm not gonna say it's boring because well, no, it is kind of boring in the sense that, as we'll learn, most of the traps that they have to go through are kind of boring. And
yeah,
if you have any brain at all, you know what like the answer is. The answer that is the answer all the way through. And then you get to the end and they finally figure it out and you're like, duh, we've had that for the last hour. Um
yeah, yeah. It's not a good. I would say they're so much better. This group is so much better than Saw Two group. Because this one they were at least kind of working together, kinda.
They start to work together only when it's way too late. And even
Yeah,
when they do work together, they work together in a way that doesn't work together. Like in Saw 2, they all stumbled around and kind of yelled at each other, and it's the group project not working together, right?
yeah,
And they don't accomplish anything at all in Saw 2. In this one, they keep progressing, but they're progressing in a way that is only hurting them.
yeah. Yeah, it's like Tom and Jerry. You don't know what they're gonna do.
You're full of colorful analogies tonight that I'm just never understanding.
The
Okay,
honest one, the honest one, know what I'm saying.
the first trap that the first
Yeah,
puzzle that these 5 need to go through is they're all chained or, like, tied to, um, this device that's, like, going to pull them back against the wall with, like, these razor blades. Essentially, if they don't get their key to unhook themselves from it, which is on the other side of the room, by the time the timer's up, they'll get yanked back and they'll be decapitated, every single one of
yeah,
them.
yeah. This one is called the necktie trap. Um, Pretty much they all woke up. They're like, "Hey, what the hell's going on?" But Charles, for some reason, he knows everybody.
Yeah. We learn slowly throughout the each room that we go to that all these people are connected. Just like every time there's a big group of people, they always are all connected. And
So this,
the
yeah,
the guy who looks nothing like Ricky Gervais,
come on.
his connection is that he's a reporter, so he knows who everyone is, and he uses that information to just shit talk everyone constantly.
Yeah.
At no point does he ever shut up. He's always just like, "Oh, Daddy's little rich boy," or "Oh, this girl knows something about bad stuff." And everyone's like, "Dude, what are you talking about?" And then he'll just shut up and he won't say anything until the next time he finds it appropriate to slam someone with some verbal comment.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say now, like, why all of them were there. It's because I think so 3 of them, they were part of, like, some arson cover-up
Yeah.
of an apartment.
So one of the ladies
That was Ashley.
was like a real estate woman,
Yeah.
and they wanted to like clear out this like lot and like get rid of this building. So she hired this junkie guy who's also in the trap to burn down the building, but there were people in the building that got killed, and then one of them was like a she worked for like was it the fire department, like first responders, and she helped cover it up, and then the reporter guy also like buried the story, covered it up. They're all connected in through like covering up this arson that killed somebody.
Yeah.
Um, that's their connection, and it's just not terribly interesting in my like they all did something bad. Well, yeah, everyone who's in a trap does something bad, and there's like different, in my opinion, there's different things like later in the series. I won't say what yet, but when we talk about Jigsaw, we'll talk about revelations of some bad stuff people did that I think is pointless in a different way. Uh,
Mhm.
but you know what? Comparing what these 5 people did, I think the next movie, Saw 6, like, they're able to tell the story of something bad someone did in a much more interesting way
Yeah, 6 has a better
through line.
story. Yeah,
And it even connects to John more than not at all.
definitely, definitely. Um, but for this one, Ashley died in the necktie trap. She was the last one not able to
Yeah.
make it.
So part of the gimmick is, like, to get to the box of keys, you have to fight against your restraint, but the more one person makes it towards the keys, it pulls everyone else back. And so
Yeah,
the timer starts ticking, and like one by one, they all start kind of fighting against each other um, to make it to the key. And by the time that the timer's up, Ashley's the only person who didn't get her key. Now, watching this trap go through right off the bat, immediately, you're like, there's 100 different ways you could all survive this, and they chose the one way to not survive it. So they could have just said, "All right, everyone, one at a time." If everyone had gone one at a time and got their respective key, they would have been fine. If they sent one person up to get all 5 keys, they would have been fine. Or as we learn at the end, and I think this is kind of unfair, one key would have worked on everyone's lock.
yeah,
They didn't look, they didn't even try to look. Uh whatever. But no, the one way that people were to die was if they just don't work together. And I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, what Jigsaw says when he starts the trap, he's like, "Hey, work together." Like, he says it in a Jigsaw way, where he's like, "Sometimes your survival can depend on other," whatever. He's Jigsaw. But essentially, if you're paying attention at all, work together and you will survive. And of course they don't.
yeah. I mean, you're in that fight or flight situation. I don't think you're listening to anyone. I would just give them that excuse. But yeah, you gotta work together. You gotta do something.
So we're one down. Ashley's dead.
Yeah,
Uh
her head chopped off.
And not only is her head chopped off, but it looks terrible because it's a
Yeah.
digital decapitation.
Yeah.
Her head like comically rolls forward. It does not look remotely real. It's if you're watching Saw for like the practical gore effects and then you see that, it's just
We're all let down. No pun intended, because she did roll her head around.
Hey
She had a
now.
big headache.
Oh.
Yeah, she had a headache. But let's do a flashback before we get into the traps. So freaking John Kramer, he kind of trapped Hoffman before he became the new Jigsaw.
That's right.
Uh, it was called. He was Hoffman was part of the shotgun chair.
Yeah, that one's pretty simple.
Very simple. Pretty much,
He's tied to a
there's a
chair
sh-
and there's a shotgun.
yeah, that's it. I mean, it's not a really clever name, but
Well, it's
it's
not a really
like
clever trap.
no.
It's you're threatening someone with a gun, and the reason he's threatening Hoffman with a gun is because Hoffman killed the guy from the beginning of the movie,
Yes,
who
from the bedroom trap.
yeah, and the woman that guy beat and killed was Hoffman's sister,
Yes,
so Hoffman kidnapped and killed him and set it up to look like a jigsaw trap, but he made it inescapable, and uh Jigsaw started his thing being like, "Oh, I don't like being imitated," but then it ended up being like, "You're gonna work for me now."
and Hoffman agreed. Because he made that his trap. He made that trap, so he's like, that caught the eyes of Mr. Jigsaw,
Yeah.
John Kramer, and now they're pretty much working together.
Yeah.
Beyond that, uh, let's go back to our dumb group. The next trap is the ceiling jars.
Yeah. This one. This one. Kind of boring. I'm gonna be
Yeah,
honest. So the gimmick of this one is there's keys in these jars that are filled with like broken glass or nails or whatever. Whatever's in the jars doesn't actually end up mattering at all.
no,
There's keys you got to find, and then the keys can unlock these little like hidey holes that you need to hide in to survive, because at the end of the timer these like improvised explosives are going to go off and kill whoever's still standing around in here. But there's only 3 keys, or there's only 3 holes to hide in, which if you look at like the little tunnels or holes that there were to hide in, they're huge,
yeah,
easily. And I'm not just saying like, oh, it breaks the movie logic. It no, the movie knows that because that's part of the gimmick.
yeah,
Because I'll just say it now, the gimmick of every single one of these traps throughout this gauntlet that they're going through is work together and you will all survive. But they don't. Like I've already said that part, but like if they if they had gotten the keys and opened all the holes, like they all could have snuggled on in there together while the bombs went off, and then they could have just continued on their merry. But they decided to fight and bicker, and the not Ricky Gervais guy starts to like
uh-huh.
beat people up and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna be the one." So then someone smacks him over the head with something, and they all crawl in the holes, and then he gets blown up.
Yeah,
And that's it. Like you don't even really see he just gets blown up. It's probably definitely to this point in the series the most boring death. Just like cuz I'm struggling to even remember, do you even see
you see
any
like a little bit, like you see him like in front of the explosion, but when it comes to like his body, no, we don't
Yeah,
see it.
that's lame.
Yeah,
That's like as far as Saw goes, like the whole point is to see people get gooey, and he didn't get gooey.
yeah, yeah. I'll rank the ceiling jars trap as maybe the worst traps.
Um, definitely so far. I don't know. I guess we'll see. If we're going off of like best and worst traps right now, based on what we've watched through the series, the ceiling jars is the worst one because it's just a bomb. It's not exciting. It's not thrilling. It's not visually cool. It's just a bomb.
Yeah. The next trap is the electric bathtub. Pretty much the real estate lady kind of um you know or like they were so, she was trying to be with Megan Good's character, but then she kind of became a traitor and then worked with the Scott guy, and they put
Yeah,
Megan in the bathtub and then she got electrocuted.
yeah.
That's
So
pretty
the
much it.
the three people left, they need to connect the circuits to the bathtub water. There's 5
Yeah,
circuits, and they need to connect it to the water, and the door will open, or else guess what? Another bomb will go off.
yeah.
Um, so it kind of becomes this thing where Megan Good's character is talking to the junkie guy and like, you're gonna go in the tub and you're gonna die so that we can go on. And he doesn't want to die, so that creates conflict, as you'd imagine. There's a scuffle, and essentially Megan Good gets killed. They hook her up to the circuits. In the water, door opens. Uh, again, kind of boring. Like the most gruesome part of this trap happens to Megan Good when she's already dead.
Yeah,
It's because like they're like hooking like jumper cables or stabbing like needles into her or whatever. She's in the tub and she's all zip zapping, and then like the last connection thing is like a metal hook, and she's even like, "Oh, the last one's a hook." It's like she's dead. Just stab it into her. Who cares? Like she's. I mean, it sounds cynical because I guess if you're looking at it on paper, you're like, "Oh, that'd be nasty to stab a dead body." But we're in the fifth Saw movie. We are
yeah,
completely desensitized to anything like that. Like she's a dead body. You need to survive. Who gives a shit?
yeah, yeah.
And
Like I said before, like it's like a breather from all the Saw films. If you want to relax and just watch a non-gruesome Saw film, is this one here?
um, here's where I take issue with what you're saying there.
Okay.
If I wanted a breather from Saw, which I can understand wanting a breather from Saw because they're either gnarly or not very good. But if you wanted a breather, you can watch something that's not Saw. What you don't want to do is watch a Saw movie that doesn't do what Saw movies are supposed to.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, it's more like a letdown.
Yeah,
You're
you
like
can go
you want
watch
to see more,
Paw Patrol if you want to watch something different.
or The Stranger with Liv Tyler.
Okay. How about The Ritual then on
That
Netflix?
that's really scary.
That's a good movie.
It is really good. Um,
Anyway,
so
if you get them to their last trap, uh
it's called what is it called? The 10 Pits of Sacrifice.
um essentially there's a bunch of saw blades and they need to fill these tanks with blood, and it's laying out very simple where it's just like it needs to be filled with this much blood, and if one person loses this much blood, they'll die. But if, oh, I don't know, say 5 people all lose a little bit of blood, then they'll all
Yeah.
survive. And it's at this
Yep.
point they realize how stupid they are. Oh no, we've been killing everyone the whole time. Well, okay. Here's what I have to say about this immediately. Do you know how you solve this, Abrar? You know how you solve this without sticking your hand in a saw blade?
Oh.
You go back exactly 1 room and you grab the dead lady out of the bathtub. The door's already open.
Oh man, you're right.
And you know what she's full of, Abrar?
Yeah.
She's full of a whole lot of blood she's not using anymore.
Yeah, so they're of course not thinking. Uh Eventually it's another bomb, right? If they don't complete this task.
Yeah, there's a bomb in each room, and it's just like, oh, you have to close every door behind you before the bomb goes off. But I remember distinctly watching when I was like, you got plenty of time left. Go get that body. The only problem I could possibly think is the body's hooked up to the cables and like electrified.
Oh, yeah.
But like, you can unhook it, or you can unhook it from one side. Are we supposed to assume because it's Jigsaw, like, oh, if you tamper with that, then the door's gonna shut again?
Yeah, you gotta follow
Because
the rules, right?
you gotta play by the rules. I
Yeah.
don't know. That's my problem, I guess, is I keep trying to cheat. I'm a dirty cheater.
No, you're not dirty.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, bro.
Yeah, no problem. Well, pretty much for this trap, the 10 pits of sacrifice, they didn't make it. So,
Incorrect. They did make
oh,
it. Or at least, okay. Here's a spoiler going forward, because they each end up
oh yes,
putting their hands in on the saw blades, and they give the amount of blood required to open the door to leave, right?
yeah,
And they show the junkie guy's hand is like split all the way like past the wrist is how much
yeah,
he cut. Um and um by the end, we can rewind after I say this part, I guess, but uh Strom does show up because he's still on the hunt for Hoffman. He follows his list of clues or whatever to make it to this point where he finds um the two survivors, quote unquote, of the trap, and they're like, "Oh, we
yes,
made it. We gave a lot of blood. We're dying. Help." I don't know if the lady made it, but the junkie guy you see later
yes.
in Saw 7, there is a support group of Jigsaw trap survivors, and he's there, so he did make it.
Okay,
Um, there's a couple of um survivors through previous films in that scene. Not enough that are at least recognizable. And we'll talk about that more when we talk about Saw 7, but it's probably the cooler idea that that movie had is like, oh, all these people that survived traps are like here together. Whether or not it succeeds in that execution, we'll talk about in 2 episodes from now.
yeah. Well, so we're done with the trial now.
Yes.
Um,
Their story's done. Their story didn't matter. I don't
it,
care
it,
about
it,
any of
it
them.
yeah. What do you think? The Saw 2 group will like win this trial, and vice versa.
Um, no,
Yeah.
because in this group of 5, the only person that was like remotely smart was the real estate lady. I don't remember
Yeah.
what her name is, what her character's name is. It really doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah, I actually didn't write it down. I
Brit.
apologize.
Her name is Brit.
Oh, Britt Baker?
DMD.
DMD. Oh, yeah. Yeah, she was the smartest one.
Yeah, uh she's the smart one, and in Saw 2, the smart one was, I don't remember the character's name, the black guy.
Yeah,
He was kind of the smart one.
yeah.
Um, because if you look at everyone else at Saw 2, there was the lady that stuck her hands in the razor blade trap. She's not getting out of anything.
No,
There was the Seventh Heaven girl who just fell over and died.
yeah,
There was the the dumb guy that wanted to fight and kill everybody. And
yeah.
then there was Abby. I guess Abby could have played ball. Who I don't really know. We didn't really get a chance to know him.
Nope.
Oh, and then there was the guy that put the key in the door that said "Do not use the key," and then he died. And then, of course, Amanda, who was in on the whole thing, and then little boy Daniel, who just stood around and watched everyone die. Really,
I want to say, I don't know if I should say it now, but like, do we see Daniel in the next few films?
we do not.
So where do you think like his like what should be wondering about his father? Like, where's he at?
No,
I guess that's not like my plot hole for this whole thing. It's like, where the hell is Daniel?
no.
Um, but yeah, so Yeah, we got Seven Heaven Girl, and we got the guy from Gilmore Girls. So we got all over the place. Um, according to actors. But yeah, let's get to the nitty gritty at the end of this movie.
Yeah.
So the Gilmore Girls hack guy is trying to find out. You know, he thinks or he probably knows, or I think he says he like, hey, Hoffman is the new guy. He's the new Jigsaw guy. He was getting clues, like hey, and then eventually he ended up at the glass coffin trap, or I want to say it's a trap ish.
Yeah. Well, leading up to this point, there is a lot of story beats that I'm gonna be honest, I just don't remember very well. And I know that makes for a bad discussion, bad review in this podcast that's all about the movie. But there's this whole subplot where he's trying to find evidence or, you know, prove that Hoffman is the bad guy. It involves him like trying to talk to John's ex-wife,
Yeah.
Jill, and essentially his um investigation is kind of manipulated by Hoffman to the point where Hoffman is able to make Strom look suspicious. He
Yes.
kind of like makes him act suspicious in like certain places he goes and documents he withholds and stuff like that to the point where Hoffman eventually like takes steals his Strom's phone and like plants it at the scene of uh the trap of 5 people in this movie actually. So he like I think actually when I said earlier that Strom showed up to find them, it wasn't him, it's his boss, I think.
Yeah, it was the Rush Hour guy,
Uh-huh.
the FBI guy. Yeah.
um so when
Erickson, thank you.
so by the end of the movie, it's clearly all of the clues that Hoffman left point to Strom being the actual new Jigsaw killer to cover his own tracks.
Yeah. I forgot to mention that beginning of this film, Jill gets like a box from her lawyer that Jigsaw gave her in his will. We'll find about that box in the next movie.
That was in this movie?
Yeah.
Because that doesn't even pay off till the next movie. She just gets a box.
She just gets a box, yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that was
That's
early on.
that's interesting that I didn't even remember that that was this one. I thought it was the next one.
No, no. Next one she discover looks through the
Yeah.
box.
The payoff is pretty alright.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm not gonna say it's earth-shaking, but it's pretty good.
That's a
But
good
that's not in this discussion, that's next time.
yeah, the next one. But yeah, let's get into the last thing. So the glass coffin. We found so Strom is trying to figure out where, you know, Hoffman is,
Yeah.
and now he's in the glass coffin trap. He sees a box in the middle of the room, and he doesn't get in.
Yeah, he tracks down Hoffman to this location and he finds this glass coffin filled with broken glass in it. And
Ouch.
there's a little tape player. He presses play on it and it essentially says, "Hey Strom, if you want to survive, get in the coffin. Ha ha ha."
Yeah.
And Strom naturally is like, "I'm not getting in that coffin." And
Yeah.
then Hoffman comes in, they have a little scuffle, and Strom using his big brain takes Hoffman and throws Hoffman into the glass coffin and closes it. He's like, "I caught you, you son of a gun." It's very smart.
But
Very
yeah,
smart.
but the walls are coming in, and you see Hoffman in the box, going or it's like his box is going downwards into the floor,
Yeah,
and you
where the
see him.
coffin will not be crushed, but
Yeah,
the room is inescapable.
and the hack guy's raspy voice. He's like, ah! uh, and he's getting squished, and he was trying to hold the wall in front of him, but you see his that's the one thing in this film that hurt me a lot was his
Oh,
bone popped
yeah, when the bone
from his
shoots out of his arm, yeah.
yeah,
So this is
and
the end, so the Saw music is playing, this is the twist. Not really a twist. I guess the twist is that, we're this is kind of as we're learning that Hoffman put all the evidence that points to Strom being the killer while
yeah,
Strom is dying. Um,
and you see, when, um, that guy's blood, he's is on the coffin, and Hoffman has this, grinning face, he's like, "I you did it, you died." But
yeah.
yeah, that's how the movie ends.
Um, Strom being crushed to death, pretty good. Like the arm pop when he's getting crushed is probably the best thing gore wise in the entire movie.
Yeah,
Um, but that's really like as far as like a twist ending that the Saw series is known for, there's really not much to this one other than watch the next one.
pretty much,
And uh it in a different level, it kind of sucks to see Strom go because I like the actor, the character's all right. Um, and we're once again at this point where it's just like protagonists cannot win in this series.
oh,
They just can't. Like it's never once happened.
the jigsaws keep winning
Yeah.
each
Uh,
movie, which you don't see in a lot of films, like movie by movie, you see the villain winning. You don't see in a lot of maybe Scream, the series, but
no, I disagree because in Scream, it's a different person or different people every time, and they all
true.
lose in different ways. It's only the idea of Ghostface that survives. And
Yeah,
even in a movie like, Nightmare on Elm Street, like Freddy's pretty much defeated decisively at the end of every movie. He just comes back in BS ways. Same
yeah,
same thing with Jason, same thing with
Michael.
yeah. Well, Evil Dies Tonight.
Evil's nice to it, yeah. Neighborhood was so dumb, but, Evil Dies Tonight. But yeah, so Saw 5, what you think what are you thinking now since we talked about it?
Uh it is of the original 7 of their like year to year theatrical release. This is the second worst one total.
I agree as of right now, yeah.
It's
Uh,
kind of just nothing.
it's more of like Hoffman's, like, early traps, like, you see here, but his early traps are, like, whack.
Sure, there's stuff in it that works like um Hoffman being recruited by John Hoffman, his kind of reason for doing it, which we did need. We did need a Hoffman busy movie, considering
Yeah,
that the twist of the last one is Hoffman's our new guy.
yeah,
And I've said from day one, I like Hoffman. I really do. But just this movie as a whole doesn't have much going on. Don't really care for it. I feel like we could have accomplished learning more about Hoffman while other actually interesting stuff happened, but
yeah.
that's just not what this movie does.
I'll say, like, if I'm trying to do an analogy of, like, Batman, in his second year as Batman, he's not, like, his full Batman self, He's going through all the trials, he's going through all the knocks, But,
Sure.
yeah, that's what Hoffman is. It's like his Hoffman is like his in his early Batman in Saw 5.
No, I disagree completely. Because he was able to outsmart FBI agents and pin this whole thing on a different FBI agent, and he got away scot-free. His execution of his stuff was almost flawless.
Yeah.
Uh, it's just nothing that happened in this movie was very interesting to see.
If I can think, I think the only interesting part was the ending, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this right now. I did fall asleep while watching this film.
Oh my heavens.
Yeah, so no, but I fell asleep, I woke up, and I see the credits rolling. I'm like, "Oh, crap, I have to rewatch the whole movie again."
You missed the one good part.
Yeah, so exactly. I think I fell asleep where, I think it was the bathroom trap. So I fell asleep around there. So I'm like, "Alright, let me rewatch the whole movie again." And yeah, so I'm like, "Okay, great ending," but the first an hour 20 was like, eh. I don't like the chase part inside the traps. That's pretty much the whole thing of this.
Mm.
But yeah, that's that's all 5. But yeah, uh, good. It's a second worst movie, but there's a lot better, which is coming up.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about Saw 6. I think that one's a lot better than this one. This one, I think, I don't know. I think when I first rewatched it a couple weeks ago, I gave it like a 2.5 out of
Mhm.
5. Right now in our discussion, I'm leaning more towards just a flat 2 out of 5.
Whoa. Okay.
Maybe that's a bit too harsh, but maybe this movie's not very good. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, I think I gave it 2.5 as well. But yeah, a whole lot of nothing, but it was something, if you know what I mean.
I mean,
But yeah,
a 2.5 could still be fun to watch, you know? This
yeah,
movie has like, as a Saw fan, um, you can you can muddle through this one because it's only an hour and a half long. I think that's the strength of a lot of these Saw movies is
yes,
it's not an all-day commitment. If Saw
yeah.
movies were like 2.5 hours long, we wouldn't be talking about these movies right now.
If it was like the length of Avatar: The Way of Water or the Fire Moon that's coming up, yeah, forget about it.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah, it was Leo.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like 3 hours and 40 minutes. But yeah, I'll watch that. But
Zack
uh,
Snyder's Saw 5.
ooh, should Zack Snyder film reboot the whole series, or are we
No.
done with Saw?
I haven't even seen Saw 10 yet, and I'm gonna say we're done with Saw. I'm ready to put the complete collection up on the shelf and be like, "That's done now."
That's it. I'll give you a preview right now. Saw 10 is good.
That's what I've heard, mostly from you, but that's what I've heard. It's like the one not that Rotten Tomatoes score means literally anything to me, but it's the one Saw movie that has, like, really
A
high on
rating
that considering.
is, but that's 6 movies from now. Um, but yeah, let me just wrap this up. Yeah, this is that's pretty much it for Saw 5. Skylar, where can the audience can find you, man?
They can find me in the movie The Benchwarmers in the background. I was one of the little kids cheering on the nerd team in most of the baseball games that are in the movie.
You know what? I have never watched the Benchwarmers, but since
Are
you're in it,
you goddamn kidding me? You
yeah,
say that
you're.
to my face live on the podcast.
Hey, I'm being honest right now.
Oh, I'll honestly kick your ass.
Maybe next time. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the Brown Boy Winners podcast. You can find this, of course, this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube Music. Uh, but yeah, that's pretty much it. On 3, do you want to say Hoffman on 3?
You know what? I will say Hoffman on 3.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, the past episodes, no one says anything when I count down to 3. But
Okay.
let's do it, okay?
All right.
I know 1. Oh wait, how to go from 3? 3, 2, 1.
Damn it.
Hoffman.
I fucked it up.
You said the F word.
Ah!
Bing bang.